Welcome back to The Explainer. So today we're stepping into the absolutely breathtaking, kind of magical world of Sisu of Hyrath. Now, if you're familiar with the lore, you know it's this amazing sanctuary built on the strength of broken dreams, a literal secret world for the Neverborn, protected by ancient magic and deep, deep wisdom. But today we aren't just looking at the landscapes. We're going to dive into a very specific, deeply mysterious story tucked right inside its lore. It's the profoundly moving tale of the Great Gardener. Really, it's a story about empty hands, seemingly impossible tasks, and figuring out what it actually takes to find true meaning.
Okay, let's dive into this. The life isn't in the dirt, and the power isn't in the seed. I mean, it totally sounds like a riddle, doesn't it? Think about it. If the power to grow doesn't come from the soil, and it doesn't come from the seed itself, where does it come from? This quote really sets up a fascinating mystery about where true power actually lies. And to solve it, we need to take a look at how this whole story unfolds.
Section 1. Meeting under the fig. So picture this. Up above, we've got the anxious scribe Alvina, literally pacing the what-if observatory. Her mind is frantically spinning with all these what-ifs and if-onlys. But down below, it's a totally different vibe. Two young twin sisters, Renee May and Maya Grace, are just wandering peacefully through the village. As they're exploring, they run into an old man in robes, just resting calmly under a fig tree. And the branches are just heavy with ripened fruit. He gently plucks 2 figs, gives them to the girls, and tells them they are always welcome to seek him out. And then, he just looks right at them and asks a super simple question: do you want to hear a story? The girls giggle, they say yes, and the man begins this classic parable. He completely draws the girls, and us for sure, into a story about a daughter of the earth who comes to a great gardener with empty hands, searching for answers.
Section 2. The Rule of 3 Trials.
And this brilliantly illustrates the core structure of the gardener's test, which relies on the classic rule of 3. 3 seeds representing 3 escalating challenges. See, the gardener isn't going to just hand the daughter the answer she's looking for. No way. He's going to make her plant it, tend to it, and really experience it. So here's the breakdown. First, common beans, meant for easy soil. Second, seeds with hard husks that absolutely must endure brutal weather. And finally, the seemingly impossible task of growing swamp rice in dry, cracked clay. So let's see how the daughter of the earth handles that very first seed.
Section 3. The first seed, easy soil.
All right, so the daughter is standing before the great gardener, right? And she's kind of hiding her empty hands in her pockets. He reaches out and drops a handful of common beans right into her palms. He tells her, "Plant these and let me know when you have the answer." So she takes them and plants them in this soft, super easy soil. And just as you'd expect, they grow incredibly quickly. They're green, they're vibrant, and honestly, the task is done with almost zero friction. But when the gardener comes back to check on her, this ridiculously easy success has left her feeling completely empty inside. She just kind of shrugs at him.
She looks right at the gardener and says, "I have no answer, for I have no question." Now I really want you to pause and ponder that for a second. What could this elusive question from the gardener possibly be? The task she just did was so incredibly easy that it provoked absolutely zero introspection. It demanded nothing of her, right? And so naturally, it gave her absolutely nothing in return.
Section 4. The second seed, hard husks.
Well, the gardener just smiles at her response, with a little bit of mischief in his eyes. And then he dramatically escalates the difficulty. He hands her these seeds with husks that are literally as hard as river stones, and simply says, "Plant these then." Now, this is no longer a quick in-and-out process. The Lord tells us these seeds take months. They require the daughter to endure harsh, biting frost. They require intense, blistering heat. It demands the kind of agonizing waiting that just makes your heart ache. She's putting in significantly more emotional and physical effort just waiting for these literal stones to break the soil.
And when the plants finally do break the soil, she stands before the gardener again, and she is deeply frustrated. She cries out, "I see the plants, but I still don't know the question." You can really feel her growing frustration here. I mean, she's worked so much harder, she's endured the changing seasons, and yet that true purpose remains a totally frustrating mystery. Section 5. The final challenge, cracked dust. Let's move to and see how this builds to the final task.
The gardener hands her a satchel of swamp rice. Now keep in mind, these are seeds that inherently crave abundant water to survive. And then he points her toward a patch of dry, cracked clay and dust and just says, "Make these live." Okay, the labor required here is just immense. It's agonizing. To make swamp rice live in cracked dust, the daughter literally has to fight the environment itself. She's out there railing against the blazing sun. She's carrying these heavy buckets of water until her back is physically groaning from the strain. She's painstakingly building little walls just to hold moisture in a patch of earth that wants nothing more than to let it go. It is just a sheer, brutal battle of attrition against the elements.
Section 6. The Gardener's True Lesson.
And then the emerald shoots finally shimmer in that dry, dusty place. Against all odds, she's done the impossible. When the gardener returns this time, he doesn't even ask her for the question. He just looks at the shimmering rice, and then he looks down at her tired, muddy hands, and he whispers this, bringing us right back to that riddle from the very beginning. The life isn't in the dirt, and the power isn't in the seed. It is in the one who refuses to let the garden die. Wow, the profound answer here is that the magic was never in the materials. It wasn't the soil, it wasn't the weather, and it definitely wasn't the seed. The power was entirely in her sheer willpower, her muddy hands, and her absolute refusal to quit when the odds were literally impossible.
Section 7. Persistence and Finding Purpose. Hearing this story wrap up under the fig tree, we cut back to Alvina, that anxious scribe up on the observatory balcony. The gardener's lesson resonates so deeply with her that she places a hand on her heart and just lets out this breath she didn't even realize she'd been holding. Her emotional storm finally calms because she grasps the fable's real takeaway. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the direct contrast we're seeing. Over on the left, we've got the common beans in soft soil. Sure, it gave quick growth, but it left the daughter with empty hands and a completely empty heart. Then, on the right, we have the swamp rice in cracked clay. It required immense, backbreaking struggle, but it's that exact struggle that birthed the realization of her true purpose and power. The lesson? Easy victories yield absolutely no meaning.
And that brings us to the core definition of persistence, exactly as taught by the great gardener. It's not just about being stubborn, you know. Persistence is working hard enough to finally hear your purpose speak. It's the absolute, muddy-handed refusal to let the garden die, even when you are quite literally planting swamp rice in dust. This ties the entire fable together into one really powerful, incredibly universal lesson about finding our own answers through the sheer work we put in.
So, I want to leave you with a thought to reflect on as we wrap up this explainer today. What cracked clay in your life is waiting for you to refuse to let it die? What seemingly impossible task are you facing right now that might actually be the exact thing waiting to reveal your true power? Keep those hands out of your pockets and keep tending to your garden. Thank you so much for joining me to explore the beautiful lore of Sisu of Hereth.